A siege of the century. Will the waters of Hormuz become a graveyard for global trade? Orders were given, and engines roared to life. This is no longer a political threat. It has become a military reality unfolding in open waters. The United States has officially launched a naval blockade against Iran. Not a symbolic blockade, but a full-scale attempt to choke a critical artery of the global economy. Ana Cabrera captures the moment precisely. U.S. warships are not just observing, they are drawing new boundaries at sea. An invisible line, but anyone who approaches it enters a zone of danger. In April 2026, the Strait of Hormuz is no longer just a maritime passage. It has become a test point for the entire global order. Will power succeed in imposing control, or will it fail against the complexities of geography and politics? The world is no longer watching from a distance. The world itself is now trapped inside the crisis. Every barrel of oil, every ship, every decision has become part of a battle far larger than the Gulf. Military reports from the region confirm that the United States Navy Fifth Fleet has begun active interception operations. Ships leaving Iranian ports or entering them are subject to inspection or full denial of passage. The declared objective is clear: to stop Iranian oil exports and cut off any source of military funding. But the reality is far more complex. Iranian oil is not isolated. It is part of an interconnected global network. Iran did not wait long. It responded rapidly. Naval mines deployed in strategic locations, fast boats equipped with short-range missiles, drones used for surveillance and attack, turning the waters into a dynamic web of threats. The result: every ship, every movement, every decision has become high risk. International law classifies a naval blockade as an act of war, which means the diplomatic phase has effectively ended. States are no longer speaking of tension, they are speaking of open conflict. Global insurance companies have begun withdrawing. Insurance costs have surged to unprecedented levels. Some companies have halted operations in the Gulf entirely. This has created a new reality. Trade has not just slowed, it has become economically unviable. Donald Trump declared, "We have put them in a cage." But the reality suggests something different. The cage may be larger than Iran. It may be the world itself. Military analysts warn of a critical point. A blockade is not a short operation. It is a long-term commitment. It requires thousands of personnel, dozens of ships, continuous surveillance, and that opens the door to attrition. U.S. forces have become direct targets: cruise missiles, fast maritime attacks, unconventional strikes. China did not remain silent. It described the blockade as international piracy and warned it would protect its vessels. This raises the level of risk because the confrontation is no longer bilateral. It is becoming multi-sided. The global economy has begun to absorb the shock. Factories in Europe are reducing production. Companies in Asia are searching for alternatives. Public pressure is rising because the crisis has reached the consumer. Fuel prices are increasing. Transportation costs are rising. Goods are becoming more expensive. Field reports indicate real friction on the ground. Attempts to break the blockade, tense interceptions, limited clashes. They have not escalated into full-scale war, but they are getting closer. Ana Cabrera warns, this is not just a crisis, this is the beginning of a new phase. A naval blockade represents the highest level of pressure short of full war. It is the final line before escalation. Washington is betting on economic strangulation, a simple concept in theory: cut resources, force the adversary to retreat. But Iran is betting on the opposite: endurance, raising the cost of the blockade, turning it into a burden on the United States. And here, the edge game begins. Each side pushes the other toward escalation without falling with it. Russia began exploring alternative routes, land corridors for energy transport, new projects to bypass the strait. India is studying emergency options, reducing dependence on the Gulf. The world is redrawing the map of trade, and that is the most dangerous impact. Not just disruption, but permanent transformation. If the United States loses its role as guarantor of navigation, it loses a significant portion of its influence. Deterrent doesn't build on power alone. It depends on trust. And if trust declines, the global balance shifts. Reports from CNN, Bloomberg, and Reuters reveal the background of the decision. Airstrikes failed to achieve their full objectives. Iran did not retreat. The strait remained a pressure point. The economy began to suffer. The administration needed a stronger step, but without entering a ground war. The blockade appeared to be the less risky option, but that is only a theoretical assessment. Inside the National Security Council, there was division. The Department of Defense warned of attrition. The State Department warned of international escalation, but the decision was ultimately political. A choice of force over waiting. Elon Musk and some advisors supported the approach. They argued that economic pressure works quicker, but traditional experts disagree. A blockade may last far longer than expected, and the world cannot sustain it. Roughly 20% of global oil passes through Hormuz. Any disruption means an immediate crisis. Oil prices have surged sharply. Shipping costs have doubled. Inflation has begun rising globally. Companies are adjusting strategies, reducing output, raising prices. Consumers are paying the cost everywhere. The global economy has become hostage to this strait, and the blockade has made it even more fragile. A blockade is not a final solution. It is a more dangerous phase. When ships are stopped, the global economy stops breathing. The Hormuz blockade is a historic test for the U.S. Navy and for the global system. Trump is placing everything on this strategy, but the bet is high. If it succeeds, he may impose his terms. If it fails, it could trigger a wider confrontation. The question that remains, did the blockade open the strait, or did it close the door to peace?